right, coming up on This Week in Penn State Football, the recruiting dead period is just about over, I've been assured. So we're going to talk about what's going on with James Franklin and his Nittany Lions with regard to recruiting short-term and long-term. The Penn State Blitz podcast is back. I'm Bob Flounders. Greg Pickel is still with me. Don't worry about it out there if you guys were worried about him. He is not. We did not have to send for a doctor or an ambulance. He's pulled it together. It's part of the cold and flu season, Greg. Mm-hmm. I admire you for playing through. Let's talk a little bit about Penn State recruiting now that the dead period is close to ending.
Right.
What can you share with us maybe in terms of news in the short term? And is there anything to watch for maybe past February with Penn State and James Franklin?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I thought we'd hear more transfer portal stuff by now, quite frankly. So they're, as far as my counting goes, they're still slightly over the 85-man scholarship limit. So I'm not expecting any additional February, the old signing day. I'm hard pressed to think they'll be able to add anybody in that period, just because, again, they signed 27 guys already, and they seem to be over the limit at this point. So now if guys end up leaving, then maybe that'll change. But for right now, it's all about the class of 2021 and beyond. Penn State will host a very good group of visitors this weekend on campus for the first time. The visitors are allowed to come to campus since before the Cotton Bowl. So it's a good chance to get guys back on campus. Unfortunately, they'll spend some time this week talking about things off the field, be it coaching change with Matt Limegrover. They'll have to, assure some guys about why that took place. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the lawsuit will come up that was filed by Isaiah Humphreys earlier this week. And I'm sure, too, that a lot of offensive players will want to know what exactly it is that Kirk Ciarrocca is going to do with this offense. So Penn State tends to get a lot of commitments, or at least a commitment on weekends like this where there's a lot of big-name visitors in town, Bob. I'm a little hard-pressed to see it happening this time around, only because of the fact that there's a lot of questions. Guys may want to explore some things, learn some things before deciding to make that decision. So we'll see. I don't know. James Franklin always tends to have a little trick up his sleeve, though, this time of year. So time will tell. But, I'm not going to rule out a commitment, but I do think that the number of changes that have taken place since kids could last come to campus might mean that if somebody was getting close to deciding, they could wait before doing that.
Real quick, is there a big name or two you can throw out there that is expected to be at Penn State this weekend that Penn State fans could potentially get excited about?
A little early, because what I've come to follow recruiting long enough, and you'll find that kids that say they're coming Tuesday and Wednesday suddenly just don't show up Thursday and Friday. So stay tuned. We'll have a list up either Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon of names to watch. But I think they'll try and get all the top guys up. And, that includes along the offensive line, Landon Tangwall, the kid from down in Maryland. I would not be surprised if they try and bring up some of the, the top offensive targets on the board that are local. So, again, it can be tough to tell exactly who will definitely show up at this point, especially because keep in mind, every school in the country is trying to get these guys to come. So we'll see, but it should be, I would say, probably a good 50 to 60% of their top targets will be on campus.
As we wrap up this week in Penn State football, I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball.
Go ahead.
Have you forgiven former Penn State coach Bill O'Brien?
No.
And the Houston Texans for the 24-0 lead that they had and the collapse from a gambling perspective?
No.
Okay. Will you ever forgive him?
No.
All right. Fair. Hard feelings for Billy O. If I tell him about this, he's, I don't know if you saw that video. He doesn't take the criticism very kindly, so just be careful.
Yeah, well, he could have. We won't even go there. But was not pleased with that last week in Penn State football, former Penn State football. So we'll see if this weekend's any better.
Good times.